Hello, I'm Melanie Tonia Evans. I hope you've enjoyed the two previous videos where you learn about energy, peptides, and your inner identity. Please know if you haven't watched the first two videos of this series, it's really important that you do before watching this one. The links to part 1 and part 2 of this series are below this video. In this third video, I'm going to show you firsthand how my healing process works. The healing will be 20 minutes in length or a little bit longer, and it's at the end of this video. By experiencing this healing, you will not only start to receive instant relief from the pain caused by narcissistic abuse, it will also get you started on your journey of releasing negative beliefs, negative peptide addiction, healing your unhealed childhood wounds, and transforming your inner identity. But first, I want to share a story with you about myself. It's an important story because I wouldn't be here today teaching you about energetic healing if none of this had happened. In the year 2005, I was at a total rock bottom. It was horrendous. I felt powerless. I'd lost the relationship I thought was the love of my life, most of my assets, and everything I thought my life was meant to be. Settlement had been such a huge battle. I'd chosen to walk away with a terrible deal, and I had no option other than to file for divorce. I was severely underweight. My hair was falling out in clumps. I had constant panic attacks, and agoraphobia was so severe for me, I could barely face anything or anyone in the world. I could not eat, sleep, or function. I was dealing with sabotage, attacks, stalking, threats, and smear campaigns that were destroying my reputation. My cash flow was crippled. My entire life was exploding in front of me. In amongst all of this, I was addicted. I believed I still loved him, and I believed that our relationship was meant to be, even after the divorce was processed and even after I lost my assets. That's right, I was going back for more abuse time and time again. For months after the divorce was finalised, I continued to break no contact. One minute I believed I could handle him and the rebuild to reunite, and the next I was being so severely abused I could barely stand vertical and keep breathing. Regardless of how damaged I was, how much I despised him, and no matter how much I learned about narcissists and how there was no hope to create healthy love with him, I could not stop feeding my addiction, and I was right on the precipice of total demise. I then had a complete psychotic breakdown. It happened while sitting in my apartment one afternoon. I had this really weird out-of-body experience, and then I saw a vision of myself smashed up, covered in blood, right in front of my eyes. The vision would not leave me. I was traumatized beyond belief, and I remembered thinking at that time, this is what it is like to lose your mind. I knew I had snapped. Somehow, in amongst that vision, I called a friend and she rushed me to a doctor. I was given a shot and the vision temporarily stopped, but it and many others continued to barrage me from that point on. I was completely dysfunctional, shattered, and suicidal. According to the medical profession, after that type of breakdown, it would take me years of complete rest and antipsychotic medication to just function, let alone recover. Regardless of this psychotic breakdown and doctor intervention, I was still completely and utterly addicted and hooked. I was still breaking no contact, and it was going to kill me. A couple of days later, after my breakdown, something incredible happened. I had collapsed on my bathroom floor, defeated. I couldn't stop the agony of trying to live with my shattered mind and my destroyed life. I had no money, my career was in tatters, I was severely mentally ill, and the emotional pain I experienced every day was unbearable. I believed that if I went down the path of strong antipsychotics that I would be a zombie and I may never come back from that. Every part of my life was in ruins, and I had no energy or mental ability to repair it. There was no way out. So that day, in total anguish and despair on my bathroom floor, I prayed, I surrendered, I pleaded for help because I knew I couldn't survive on my own. And from this place of total disintegration and surrender, I had a profound experience. Looking back, I could see that at the time, nothing in my mind made sense. There was nothing more to hold on to, and there was no resistance left to block an awakening taking place. Within this awakening on my bathroom floor, playing for help, knowing that the path of antipsychotics would be the end for me, I received incredible answers. And from what I can only describe as a channeled experience, I just knew the answers, and I knew them immediately. I knew the reasons for why I had suffered narcissistic abuse, and I knew what recovery meant and what it was all about. I knew it was about claiming the gift that this has happened in order for me to heal my inner wounds and finally come home to myself. And I knew I had at soul level created this experience with my ex-narcissist to achieve exactly that. I now know if my experience of narcissistic abuse had never happened, I would not be the person I am today. Not because I do what I do as a mission, not because I'm public, and not because I help people, but because I finally understood how to become my true self. I define true self as being the state of your inner identity, knowing and believing in the life and love you want to create. Our true self is the place where freedom and love is authentic and where pain and fear ends. It is everybody's birthright to be a creator of life at this level. And then the pain in our life occurs only when we are not in true self function. This profound awakening was just the beginning. And intuitively it was right for me. So I refused all medication. And then I started the real work on me for the first time in my entire life, because I recognized finally that I deserved it. The realizations, the acceptance of how perfect it all was, and the implementing of the initial strategies to recover were enough for me to get my life back to a functioning level within 6 short weeks. With my type of breakdown, that was a psychological and medical impossibility. I was getting well, and I never again broke no contact. But I still hadn't been able to break off the severe effects of complicated traumatic stress disorder and the crippling agoraphobia, even 18 months after my awakening. Even though I knew what I had to do to heal the damage at the deeper levels of my inner being, I didn't yet know how to do it. I was undergoing kinesiology and other healings. I was meditating, I was journaling, I was getting massages, I was surrounded by supportive, loving and real people. I knew every conceptual, therapeutic, holistic and counseling definition of healing, and I was implementing everything I could get my hands on. Yet I was still only barely able to manage the panic attacks and the extreme dread and anxiety when I stepped outside of my safe physical zones. Then another amazing thing happened. I was invited by a friend to a trip to Koh Samui in Thailand, and when she asked me, I just knew I was meant to go. I jumped at it, knowing with space and time I may be able to fully heal. The trip over by myself to meet her was excruciating, and to this day I don't know how I achieved it with the crippling conditions that traumatized me. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. While I was in Koh Samui, I had the inspiration to create a healing process that would heal me. I was already a certified applied kinesiologist, a theta healer, and a past life regression therapist, and to date, none of these modalities or any others singularly applied by myself or other people had created my breakthrough. So my thought was, what if I combine the 3 modalities that I do together? So I played with the idea with a journal and a pen, and then all of a sudden a powerful knowing occurred. And this powerful knowing was a way to combine these modalities with the knowledge I had already acquired from studying law of attraction and quantum physics. I just knew I could make the shift from inner identity dysfunction to true self-empowerment. I knew I could create change at my core level. Once seeing the formation in my head, the process just flowed. It was like I just knew how to do it. It was like I'd always been doing it. And at that very moment, the healing process that was to forever change my life manifested into reality. On January the 3rd, 2007, I worked on myself for the first time ever with this healing process. 2 hours later, after releasing mountains of pain and fear up and out of the cells of my body, I felt an incredible shift. I had broken my peptide cycle of fear and dread, and I changed my inner identity beliefs from being unsafe in the world to being safe and supported by life. I left the hotel room feeling completely different. And then I did something that before that 2-hour process would have been virtually impossible. I walked out into the crowded streets of Koh Samui. No fear, no anxiety, and no feelings as if the walls and everything were caving in on me. I kept waiting that day for the agoraphobia symptoms and the complicated traumatic stress disorder symptoms to return, but they never did. I was living an authentic life. I was free and freer than I'd ever felt before in my entire life. I was elated. I was thrilled beyond belief, but my thought was, is this a fluke? And could this actually work on other people? As soon as I returned to Melbourne, I started to put my process to the test, as well as still shifting piles of narcissistic abuse and past relationship trauma and childhood trauma out of my own cells. And what I discovered was that anybody that accessed the shifts who was open to it was experiencing exactly what I was. It was miraculous. It was literally astounding. And what I found was any trauma, fear, or childhood wound that they were carrying just went. It was like all the associated pain shifted out of their soul, their cells, and their body. People were liberated, and they were astounded, just as I was, how even pain that they had carried their entire life could be released so quickly and so powerfully. I continued to use this healing process on myself and other people, and the more pain that was cleared and the more alignment to true self that took place, the old patterns just fell away, and the new life, the one we really wanted to live, started to take hold. I knew I was onto something big, something real, and something that worked powerfully, quickly, and definitively. With every healing I'd ever tried, and I'd tried almost everything, I had never experienced anything so effective. Ever since this time, my healing modality has been evolving and improving as it channels through me. It is forever upgrading itself. So before I share a sample of this healing process with you, I'd like to talk a little bit more about energy and why energetic healing works.
It is my belief that the unseen world of energy creates the seen results in our personal experience. I've received way too much proof, not only in my world, but in the worlds of the people I work on, to believe anything else. The solution to the unseen energy, where it's all being set up, has to take place on the same level, which is energetic and therefore unseen. In regard to peptide addiction, you now know that no matter what solution or strategy you try to do to stop the obsession and the pain, it doesn't work. Logically, trying to get on with your life, doing the practical things to get better, such as exercising more, trying to date other people, or starting a new hobby to get your mind off things, is not the answer. It only provides short-term relief at best. The truth is, recovery is so much more than doing no contact and trying to get on with your life. True recovery requires healing your peptide addiction and inner identity. Trying to just move on does not address the need to rewire your brain neurons to heal the peptide addiction. The rewiring can only take place when you interrupt the cycle and replace it with a new and healthier one. The initial answer is to run an affirmation each and every time you feel compelled to go back into the addiction of pain. Thoughts such as your name, "You are doing a great job. I love you," looped over and over until the urge subsides, will start to rewire your brain neurons as they let go and form new, healthier pathways. You might be thinking, "That's so simple." Yes, it is simple, but it is also incredibly powerful, and this practice alone will directly address and reprogram your peptide addiction issue. If you do this, over time, victim peptide manufacture ceases to happen, the cells don't keep getting their hit of the peptide, and within a short amount of time, they stop calling out for it. Your real-life result is the obsession, the pain, and the addictive urge to keep self-creating pain falls away. This addresses the peptide addiction and will start to create relief. But this practice alone does not directly address the unhealed, damaged parts of your inner identity. At this point, you have simply stopped re-abusing yourself, which then creates the space for the real healing to occur. The pain you took on from the outer world got absorbed by you and became your inner identity. Within your inner identity is not just the agony of the pain, but also the reasons for your pain. There is a profound difference between releasing pain and transforming pain. Please let me explain. You may have had the experience of feeling relief after having a good cry. You released pain and it felt good. However, if you didn't release the reasons for the pain, which is the associated damaged inner identity belief systems, you will have to cry again and again and again. Your pain will keep returning. The point is, your pain never went away because you only released painful energy when it got too extreme, but you never healed the reasons for your pain. This is the deal. The reasons for your pain is what is causing your pain. It is an absolute misconception that creating no contact and detaching is enough to heal from narcissistic abuse. If you don't heal your deep, unhealed parts, the pain will keep coming back and back and back. And this is why contemporarily, most people don't ever get better as a result of narcissistic abuse. They simply get out at best and survive. Whereas if you do commit to discovering, embracing, and healing your own unhealed parts, you have the ability to thrive as a result of your narcissistic abuse experience. You get to clean up your damaged inner identity beliefs that already existed even before the narcissist entered your life, which means you can then break free into the life and love experiences you have always wanted to create. The steps to the energetic transformation of your inner identity are this. Number 1, the recognition that the emotional pain is the symptom of unhealed inner identity beliefs. Number 2, the acceptance that the outer situation or person who triggered your pain is a catalyst, bringing up for you what you need to heal. Number 3, the embracing and being with the emotion in order to access the inner identity dysfunctions that require healing. Number 4, the releasing of the pain and the negative inner identity beliefs to allow the space to be cleared for. Number 5, the bringing in an alignment to true self-function in order to transform the previously painful inner identity issues. So how do these energetic shifts take place? They happen by addressing the toxic cycles at the cellular level. In order to do this, the healing solutions need to speak to the cells of your body and your inner identity at the unseen level with a language that is understood by these deeper levels of consciousness. Cognitive information does not do this unless it talks directly to the soul, which it rarely does. Cellular inner identity shifts take place at soul level, not at mind level. Have you ever had a powerful aha moment? It's a big yes. If you have, you've experienced such a shift. You also know that these shifts are pretty random. They're not common. When this moment happened, the information resonated so deeply within you that you immediately knew it as truth. There was no need to analyze it, toss it around, or try to research the proof on it to accept it as real. It struck a chord within you that went way beyond a piece of information you received through your mind. You just knew it, and there was no logical reason why you knew it. It just hit home. And what you then knew as truth changed your life forever in a powerful and positive way. Why? Because you changed. You didn't just experience a great idea, you experienced an energetic shift deep within your being. You believed it in the core of your being. You became the shift. Energetic healing, coupled with imagery and vibrational intent, speaks to your inner identity at the core level. The information bypasses your logical mind and goes straight into your cells to release your toxic pain and addiction and replaces damaged inner identity beliefs with empowered ones instead. You feel the shift and you just know it. It becomes real. When you have the experience of knowing and believing at inner identity level what you want, you already have it, know it, and are it. It just is. You become your true self on this topic.
The performing of these cellular energetic shifts is a gift I realized I possessed during my own emotional transformation and resurrection from narcissistic abuse. Since the first version emerged in Koh Samui, I've been working on my technique for years, perfecting it, in order to create the most authentic and lasting results. This technique I founded and called Quanta Freedom Healing, and I perform this as one-on-one healings and as MP3 inclusions in my healing programs. Anyone can connect to the process as it is unconditional and it has no prerequisites. It is non-traumatic, non-complicated, incredibly powerful and successful for any individual as long as he or she is willing to accept it. All you have to do is be open to it. And most of all, you need to want to heal. When you start using energetic healing, the life that you didn't know how to make happen just starts to happen. You become free of the pain. Your symptoms such as complicated traumatic stress disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, agoraphobia and anxiety are released, and you open up to connect with and create the life and love you dreamed of more quickly and more powerfully than you believed was possible. Miracles start occurring in your life as the changes to your inner identity start appearing in your outer life.
Love and support comes into your world. Recovery, growth, and newfound positivity takes hold. And fulfillment, prosperity, and success starts flowing into your life as lucky breaks, fortuitous coincidences, and magical events start to happen.
Now please listen to the drastic life transformations that have taken place for the individuals who have enjoyed the benefits of Quanta Freedom Healing.
Hi, my name is Anne and I'm from the United States. I have a young daughter with a narcissist, sociopath, psychopath who faked a cancer condition as well as living a double life socially and criminally. When I started doing the MP3 healings, I literally felt the junk leaving my body, and I could feel all the good stuff replacing it. The healing started to bring a sense of peace and strength, and it soothed the pain and obsessive thoughts. I had a lot to work on, but within 2.5 months of hard work at the program, I knew I was really healing. It's been 4.5 months now since I started the program, and I'm not just surviving, I'm thriving. I have a job again, I am relicensed as a CPA, and I'm off all medications. I now believe in and can stand up for me, and I feel so much safer in life.
Hi, I'm Abby. I'm from Australia. After 4 years of intensive therapy and still feeling addicted and broken, I knew I wasn't healing. I still had post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, and severe panic attacks. I had spent thousands of dollars on trying to get better. From the first healing with Melanie, I had incredible relief. After 6 weeks, the healings had cut straight to the core. I was healing like never before. A few months after this, I'm free of my ex. I'm happier than I have ever been, and I have no anxiety or post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms at all. It's incredible. I'm free.
Hello, my name is Jennifer. I'm from the Philippines. I wanted to let go of the anger, regret, shame, and humiliation of suffering from a 14-year narcissistic relationship. During the very first Quanta Freedom Healing session, I knew something very powerful was happening. The tension and pain literally started to leave my body and was replaced with a lightness. I also noticed that this feeling started to extend out into my everyday life, and I felt everything started to change. 18 months ago, I was stuck in searching for answers, something to fix me, fill me, and complete me. Now I know I am complete and I feel whole.
Right now, you may feel a million miles away from what these people have experienced. And whilst your emotional peptide addictions are surging and your inner identity is even more damaged as a result of being narcissistically abused, is it any wonder why? But you can start releasing this cycle, breaking free from the pain and opening up to becoming and creating the good stuff. This is what Quanta Freedom Healing is all about. We're about to do the healing, but before we do, I'll explain some key things. Be aware that this is a sample of the power of Quanta Freedom Healing. This is just the beginning. Truly, we all are a complicated mass of limited belief systems, especially if we've been narcissistically abused. There are so many dysfunctional belief systems which are caused by narcissistic abuse that need to be released in order for you to fully break free. The shift we do in this session is to help get you started, and you will feel a definite change deep in your core. Quanta Freedom Healing is a simple process, and all I ask you to do is open your mind, let go of as much skepticism as possible, and just be in the process. Your body, cells, subconscious, and inner identity will know what to do if you follow the instructions and keep your mind out of the way. Don't try too hard, just follow the simple instructions. You have absolutely nothing to lose and a new you to gain. Energy is unconditional. The fact that you are listening to and doing this healing after I'd recorded it makes no difference. In quantum physics reality, time is not horizontal, it is vertical. There is no before, now, and after. Everything is happening in the eternal moment of now. My intention when I created this healing was to connect to the eternal now moment. This means that the energy space of this healing has already connected to everyone who will access it, regardless of whether that is tomorrow or in 20 years' time. The energetic space knows and caters to all time and all possibilities. The fact that you have entered this healing space and you are going to participate in this healing is not by accident. You were meant to be one of these people. Quanta Freedom Healing involves muscle testing, which I'm doing by proxy, connecting to everyone who will enter this healing space. It also incorporates theta brainwave in order to address your unconscious inner identity directly in the frequency and language that it understands. I also include a past life release technique in order to reach deep back into your timeline to remove the setup and accumulation of the limiting beliefs and patterns that took hold and magnified throughout your energetic history. You do not have to have past life beliefs in order to receive benefit from Quanta Freedom Healing. It is all taking place in your subconscious. You may simply think of the past life part of the healing as anything in my past. Please know I am a psychic energetic healer. That's not unique or special. You are too. You just may not know that yet, or maybe you do. The more you access Quanta Freedom Healing, the more obvious that will become. Please know I am not healing you. I'm creating the gateway for you to heal yourself. You already have this power within you. I am simply leading you to the truth of what is really going on for you, to what really needs to be shifted. This means no longer will you be going around in circles trying fruitlessly to find your answers. You can now go directly to them. During Quanta Freedom Healing, shifts happen at the deepest levels within you. This not only releases the pain, it also releases the limiting beliefs that were stored within your inner identity. Together, we will then transform some of your limiting beliefs into ones that do serve you. Today, I'm going to help you release a limiting belief that everyone who experiences narcissistic abuse suffers from. The belief system, I am not worthy of love. And together we're going to transform this limiting belief into the one that does serve you, which is I am worthy of love. So let's get started. For this healing, you will need a pen and paper. So please go and access that now if you don't have one near you. Then when you have that, I'd like you to make sure that you're sitting in a comfortable space. And you know that you're not going to be disturbed for the duration of the healing. And make sure your phone is on silent. Because what we're going to be doing within this healing is we're going to be transforming some of your beliefs in regard to being unworthy of love into a true self-function, which is the alignment with being worthy of love. When we think about unworthiness of love, it's been a really big problem for mankind, and it has plagued mankind for centuries. External systems and parenting models were based on ruling with conditions and punishment. We were taught that if we did not believe in certain things, if we did not behave in a certain way, or if we didn't achieve certain results, that we'd be rejected, and we felt unlovable as a result. And often within these systems, we discovered that no matter how much we tried to please others or be who they believed that we should be, that they still didn't love us, that we couldn't match their expectations. We couldn't match their conditions enough to feel loved. Within these systems, we were conditioned to disconnect from loving and accepting ourselves and presenting that to the world and creating more of the same. We were all thrown unconsciously into a system where we based love as being necessary to be obtained from outside of us. And the problem with this system was that our inner identity then looked to the outside, absorbed all of the unloving messages, and deemed that we were not worthy of love. So to get this healing started, I just need permission to come into your space, because I'm actually accessing your energetic matrix. So what you need to do is say yes, either out loud or in your mind. Perfect. Okay, now the first thing we're going to do is a soul integration, and this is to prepare your energetic matrix for this healing. Now within soul integration, what we're doing is we're working with soul fragments. And what happens is when we've had pain, shock and trauma, we disassociate. We lose pieces of ourselves. It's like that feeling like I'm not in my body. I drive in my car and I can't even remember the streets I took to get to my destination. When you've been narcissistically abused, you're incredibly disassociative. The trauma is so great, it's not safe to be in your body. This muscle test, normally when I'm using this with personal clients, I would get a reading and be able to tell them how many missing soul fragments they have. Now, in a group situation like this and on the MP3s, what happens is my muscle test is set up for the intention of everybody that is going to be accessing this group. So I'm not actually going to be giving a reading, but what I do is I muscle test until it tells me when to stop, because that's accessed the missing pieces. And then by intention, we bring them back into every single person that ever will access this healing. They come back in, washed, healed, energized, and they will give you a feeling of being more whole. This gives you enough of a boost to be able to go through this healing for optimum benefit. So I'm going to muscle test. Okay, great. We've picked them up. So you don't need to do anything at this point. You can just be. I do all the work. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring you back into you and teach you it's your divine right to be whole. It's safe to be whole. Your body knows how to be whole. And let's bring you back in. Okay, good. Now this is going to go for a little while, because when we're actually working with big soul fragment pieces missing, which is very, very consistent with narcissistic abuse, it takes a little while to bring the energy back in. Still going. Still going. Okay, still going. Still going. So we've got that. All right, we're going to do a soul retrieval the opposite way. Now, this is the stuff you've taken from the outside that's damaged your inner identity. So this is the stuff that's got through your boundary walls. So you've either allowed it by handing your power over and opening up a big gap in your boundary, or it's something that's smashed through your boundary wall. So it's those bits that have come in that have poisoned, distorted your inner identity. So let's just have a look. So I'm doing the muscle test, and we're going to be picking up those fragments, and they're inside you. The muscle test will tell me when I've actually got them in the healing matrix. Still going. Still going. Still going. We're going to let this go so that you can come back to the creative center and the truth of you. Okay, that's still going. This is actually a visualization that I do where these bits are going up and out through the top of your head and they're being sent off. Now, it would be great if soul integration was all we needed to do, and unfortunately it's not, because we really need to do work on the inner identity belief systems, and that's what you're going to experience today. Okay, we're done. Now I want you to take a couple of deep breaths because that resets your body. This is where your paper and pen comes into it. You need to get real and you need to get vulnerable. And we all have an inner identity that has absorbed painful beliefs. You know through watching these videos that if they stay there, it's just going to continue to unconsciously play out in your life. This is your opportunity. It really, really is. To own and embrace these inner identity beliefs that aren't serving you. So our topic that we're working on through this healing is unworthiness and love. I want you to think about what's just happened to you, the stuff that's triggered you now. You really need to embrace and grab onto those feelings of feeling I'm loved, I feel discarded, I feel devalued, I feel abandoned. So I don't want you to go into the he did this or she did that. When you're focused on the outside on he or she did, you're not going to embrace your feelings and you're not in a place where you can transform them, work with them or heal them. And nothing happens when we do that. Focus on the he did, she did, other than re-energizing peptide addiction. You've got to go to your feelings. I felt rejected. I felt abandoned. I want you to go to all of that. Really need to go to it. Just really unconditionally drop into it, open up to it, and start writing about it. Now, when you're doing that, it may feel painful. You're going to have to feel the pain momentarily and embrace it in order to shift it. It's when we detach from our pain that we feel it horrendously. If you were to imagine a child coming up to you and he or she said, "Mum, Dad, I'm really, really hurting." And if you were to ignore the child and focus on something outside of him or her, it's easy to understand that that child is going to get manic. He or she is going to scream at you in pain to try and get your attention. Well, exactly the same thing is happening for you until you turn around, embrace, and be present with your emotions. I want you to embrace it, hold it, be with it, validate it. Recognize it, go to it, write about it. So I'm going to give you 1 minute to write about it now. Okay, now what I want you to do, I want you to connect to what you've written down and go into the emotional charge of it. Go into the feeling of it. If we were going to say we've got a scale of 1 to 10, how powerful is that charge? How much can you connect to it and feel it? Those feelings of being unloved. 1 means I barely feel it. 10 means I totally feel it. Trust yourself. Go to your rating, and I want you to write it down. Okay, so now we're going to do the shift. So you just need to be. I do this part, and then I'm going to call you into it. All right, so what we've got is we've got those feelings of being unloved and all the data that you wrote about it. We've got all of that as a swirling mass in the pit of your stomach. And what we're going to do, we're going to put in there the associated, the pain, the shock, the fear, the burden, the trauma, the grief, the anxiety, the anger, the resentment, the brokenness, the powerlessness, and every other emotion and confusion that goes with that charge. Now, what I'm actually doing, this is loading up as I talk, and you don't need to do anything. Okay, you can have your eyes closed if you want. You can have them open if you want, watching the pattern on your screen. You can do whatever you want to do. Okay, but just be. Just try and keep your mind out of the way and keep your body open and just be. What I'm doing, I'm muscle testing, and this will tell me when we've loaded up as much of that toxicity out of your vibrational pain body. So this is the stuff that you're conscious about. This is the stuff that's hurting you now. So this is the unresolved stuff that's way up at the surface. Now we're loading that. Okay, and it's still going. And the muscle test will tell me when we've loaded as much as what your body can load. Still going. Still going. Because it's actually only the pain that's associated with what you've connected to that we're going to be able to get out. So that's what the process of Quanta Freedom Healing is all about, that you're connecting to more and more and more, accessing more and more situations, associations, limiting belief systems and their associated pain, and you get to clear them out one at a time. And often you'll pick up quite a few at once if they're interconnected. Still going. Still going. Okay. All right, so we've loaded that up. Now what we're going to do is we're going to access any past life, situations, events, occurrences, attachments, belief systems, survival programs and emotions that are also contributing. We're going to put that in there as well. So what this actually does is go back through your timeline. Now if you do have past life beliefs, this is your first ever event where that got set up for you. So what my beliefs are is that what happens is that from lifetime to lifetime, whatever we haven't healed, whatever we haven't liberated, whatever pattern we're stuck in, we keep reincarnating. We energetically attract the exact parents that are going to keep that going for us. And then we end up having the love experiences that keep that cycle going as well. So the benefit of this is we're going way back into your timeline and we're picking up everything that you've accessed, those belief systems that are associated to it from those past lives. We're putting that into the healing matrix so that we can release it. It's actually very profound, the shifts and changes you get when you start accessing your timeline and clearing out the junk. It's like with a cancer, you get the core. Still going. Still going. Still going. Now, when I'm working with one energy, this is when I see what that's about. How many lifetimes, what went down. Still going. Still going. What's really very interesting is that people, when they start doing a lot of Quanta Freedom Healing, they start connecting to it themselves. And when you open up to it and you keep working on this level, it just becomes more and more evident for you. Still going. Okay, and we're also going to put in there any beliefs on soul, personal and genetic level that are also holding that up. So what this relates to is the childhood programming level. This is also the genetic level. So we don't just acquire from our parents or from our ancestors aesthetic qualities such as blue eyes and blonde hair. We also get their belief systems. So we can have poverty beliefs, we can have all sorts of limiting beliefs, but most definitely we get beliefs about being unlovable and not worthy of love because that's what our ancestors suffered as well. Still going. This is also the energy from your childhood where you did feel conditionally loved, when you didn't feel lovable just for being yourself. Still going. We're still loading up, still going. And as we'd expect, and they always are with really big shifts, all 3 levels are very heavy. There's lots of energy there that needs to be released. Still going. Okay, so what we've got is we've got all of that. We've got that energy, that feeling unloved energy, that painful energy, and the associations and the data and the programs and the charges. And what we're going to do, we're going to spiral it up and out of your body. So this is where I need you to come in and work with me on this. So what I want you to do with your eyes closed, I want you to imagine inside you that there's a tornado. And you don't have to see it. You might just feel it or know it's there. Now, with this tornado, I want you to feel or imagine that there's a whole heap of junk and stuff in it. And that's all those limiting beliefs and programs and painful charges and the things that we don't want. So what we're going to do, we're going to spiral that up and out of your body. So I visualize this in the healing matrix. You visualize it. I muscle test it. And what we're going to do is we're going to take it all the way up to the top of your head. And we're going to let it go out through a gap at the top of your head. And we're going to send off all this junk and stuff to life, source, and creation, and know the relief of letting it go. And know that by letting it go, that you are no longer stuck in charges of more of the same. And by letting it go, you open up to the space and the freedom of your true self. And let's just let it all go. Still going. Still going. Still going. When vibrationally you clear this out of your energy matrix, you're not going to be a vibration of that keeps creating and manifesting more of that. You start opening up to create another reality. The reality you do want. That's what true self function's all about. Still going. Still going. And there is a heap of stuff that we're letting go of here. Still going. Still going. Still going. Still going. So a lot of people that would be in this matrix would have been feeling this stuff as a 10 out of 10. I know often some people go 100 out of 10. That's how heavy it feels. Still going. Still going. Okay, the muscle test has stopped. Now what I want you to do, I want you to imagine a sacred space. Nature's really good for this. So something like a forest, a garden, an ocean, real or fictitious. And again, you may see it, you may feel it, or you may just know it. Either's fine. And I want you to imagine or feel this space and put yourself in it. Okay. Now in this space, you get to connect with source and life and truth. And what we're going to do, we're going to bring down into you and all of this space unconditional love and self-acceptance and support from life, source, creator, and self, which is all the same thing. And we're going to bring it all in and fill you and this space like a beautiful, big, warm, soft pillow. And you feel the peace, the healing, the truth, the connection back to yourself and the knowing. And let's bring in the divine understanding and knowing of the ultimate reality truth on this topic. And what that is you are no longer living in powerless, limited lifetimes, including this one, or childhoods, whereby somebody else's behavior or opinion in regard to love for you is a threat to your survival, your security, your identity, or the creation of your life. Because you have now graduated to a space-time reality of incredible freedom, alignment, creation, and knowing. And in this space-time reality, right here, right now, as a part of Source and all of life, you are vibrationally connected to the truth. And what that is that as a part of Source and all of life, you are creation, you are life force, which means that you are love. And it is impossible for you to be not worthy of what you already are. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up that remembering, that knowing, that truth that you are at true self level Love, source, creation, expansion, truth. And it's safe. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up that knowing at true self level. Okay, and I've got a muscle test hold, and this is what happens when we're in theta brainwave. When we speak to your unconscious, your inner identity in this frequency says, yes, I remember that to be true. So we've got a hold. That's good. Now, what I want you to do, I want you to imagine you as a container. It can be just your body. And if you struggle with that, just imagine a circle on a piece of paper. And inside the container is bits of junk and stuff, like household rubbish, if you like. Now, those bits of junk and stuff represent all of those old belief systems about unworthiness. That I'm abandoned, I'm unloved, I'm discarded, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm too old, I'm not attractive enough, whatever it might be. All those conditions and pain that you've been feeling about not being worthy of love. Now, knowing if that stuff stays there, it is going to hurt and it's going to continue to hurt no matter what you do, because it's not your truth. That's why it hurts. And it's also going to manifest those less than love realities in your life, which are not a match for your true self, which is love. So we want them gone. So what I want you to do, I want you to imagine pushing all of that junk and that stuff out to the sides until the container, which is you, or the metaphor, which is you, until it's clean, clear and open. Now, if you have trouble doing that, you might be able to just imagine pushing it back and it goes. You might imagine it, this is a pretty big shift. You might imagine it pushing in and wanting to come back in and doing all sorts of things. There's actually a handy way that you can help push it out. Imagine 2 steel plates with an angelic presence in the middle, which is giving safety inside you, pushing those metal plates and pushing the junk and stuff out and holding it out. Okay, so I want you to push all of that junk and that stuff out to the sides until you're clean, clear and open. And I'm going to muscle test as to when that's done. Okay, and I've got a hold on that. Now, if you had trouble with that, you can go back to this and repeat the healing until you do get it. That's okay. All right. Now, what I want you to do, I want you to imagine you as a container, and there's a pipeline that goes up from you to a big ball of source energy above your head, and it's glowing light. And that glowing light is source. It's creation, it's expansion, it's life force, it's truth, it's love. It's all that is. Now, in that big ball of light is your divinity. That's your true self function. That's the reality. You are all of that. You are source, you are creation, you are life force, you are love, you are expansion, you are truth. With no conditions, with no need for approval from the outside, because it just is. Now, I want you to see that light, and I want you to bring it down the pipeline, and I want you to fill yourself up until you're full with that light. And I'm going to do the muscle test. Still going. And again, if you struggled to do that, you want to go back and repeat and keep practicing until you get it. For some of you, it will have just clicked straight into place immediately. All right, now what I want you to do, I want you to imagine a little you. And the little you, he or she may show up as a child or a miniature version of you as an adult. Now, the little you was stuck in those beliefs and the charges and the programs of I'm unlovable, I'm discarded, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy of love, all of that pain. Now, the little you was separated from true self you. And true self you is the alignment with love, creation, life source, all that is, that unconditional knowing I am love. Now, because there was a big gap, the little you was feeling separated from that truth. And the little you on the outer is feeling broken and empty, and he or she is on the ground, exhausted, had enough, and sick of living like this. So I want you to visualize the little you on the ground broken. Usually it's not hard to see the little us. we're very good at connecting to our pain. We're just not usually good at transforming it. That's why this helps. Okay, so what I want you to do, I want you to pick the little you up, and I want you to hug the little him or her. And I want you to cuddle the little you, and I want you to pour into the little you that light, that fullness, that knowing, that solidness. You are creation, you are life force, you are source, you are all that is. Fill the little you up with all of that unconditional knowing, light, and love that just is. And I'm going to muscle test till that's done. Okay. Now what I want you to do, I want you to cuddle the little you into you. Allow the little you to melt and integrate and come home into that light inside you, into that solidness, that warmth, that love, that knowing, that truth, that just isness. So bring the little you in. Okay, and I'm muscle testing. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to integrate that shift, and we're going to bring it through every cell in your body, through all space, time and dimension, all past lives, parallel lives, future lives, this life, right here, right now, as if you've always known it. We're going to integrate that, and we're going to upgrade your matrix to the eternal moment of now and your true self function that flows and just is. Okay, and when this happens, I actually see all of these lights and transformations go through the matrix. So I'm watching that now, and there is a lot of light going through. And I have no doubt that even on this one shift, that people are going to start feeling transformation. Okay, and we've got a muscle test on that. All right, so take a couple of deep breaths, and that just resets your body. Now, this is how you work out what's happened with that shift or where it's gone. Because what's happening is, as we're transforming belief systems, we're going to the next part and the next part and the next part that needs to be transformed. Your body leads you there every time. It's amazing the way it works. It's that body that tells you where the healing needs to go and what needs to move and what isn't congruent with true self. Okay. So now what I want you to do, I want you to go back to that charge that you originally had. You wrote it down out of 10, how big it was. It might have been an 8, it might have been 10, it might have been 100. I want you to try as hard as you can to go back, and you need to. This is really important. Unconditionally, how you're feeling now. I want you to go back into those unlovable, unworthy, discarded, whatever beliefs, those feelings, those charges. Go back into them as much as you can. Really go for it. And give it a rating out of 10 now. And just trust yourself. Just go with your intuition. Go with the feeling. Go with what comes up for you. Okay, now what would have happened if you actually got through the process, if you were able to visualize and do all of that? You have shifted what you were able to connect to emotionally. Now, if you're still a 10 or you're really high, there is something else now going on for you. What's happened is we've actually shifted those beliefs connected with what you connected to, and they've made way for the next big pain to come up for you to look at. So what would happen with this, and what does happen with this, if you actually drop into the charge that's left and you really feel it, you go into it and you ask it what it's about, it's going to give you incredible information. You might get a memory of your childhood come up. You might get something specific come up, but it's going to tell you what it's about. And that's your next piece to shift, and so on and so on and so forth. And that's how it works. Now, if you've had a really, really big drop, what's going to be great about that is that you know that you've now shifted something really big, and it feels completely different for you. So when you go back into those feelings of feeling unworthy for love, if you were to get a 2 or a 1, or I can't access it, I can't even find it, it's like there's a wall between me and feeling unworthy. It'd be unusual for you to get to a 0 straight off. but you might. But even if it's small, if you've got a charge of 2 or 3, you need to take your attention right into that. And when you go into that and become at one with that, and you're always looking for pain, when it's not about saying, well, I feel heaps better now, that's not nearly as big, because we need to clean up. So we're looking for pain. It's really counterintuitive. Usually we're meant to just be positive. We want to dig out the pain. So you go, okay, what still feels uncomfortable, painful, not quite right, or confusing? You need to go to that. And when you feel right into that and right about it, you're going to pull out something. And then when you tune into that thing and your feelings about it, it may go right back up to a 10 again. So what's happened is it's like the belief systems that we just shifted, there was something entering into on the side of it. Now, if it's a 10 again, it's a really big charge again, you've got something right smack bang underneath it that needs to be shifted. So it's really fascinating how it all gets unraveled and how it all gets released and how it all gets transformed into true self-function. And that's what the process does. I'm now going to seal this healing off for you today. And that's going to give you the option. And that option is that you can go back to the start of the healing again, and you can keep shifting now by accessing what has come up for you. That's what you focus on, and you just do exactly the same process and follow my voice. And you could do this 10 or 20 times over to keep shifting stuff. The great thing about Quanta Freedom Healing is you cannot overdose, because it's like you've got bags full of junk and you're just pulling out and clearing out the junk. That's what you're doing. And every time you clear and pull out the junk, you get closer to your true self nature, which is alignment, peace, empowerment, truth. You get to the good stuff. So you're uncovering the jewel by doing this, the jewel of yourself. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to seal this off, and we're going to bring through, this is an instant healing. You've received an instant healing. Your body knows how to retain this healing, and it has retained this healing. And you now look forward into the matrix of life with your beliefs and your emotions aligned with the integrity of yourself. Your will is divine will. It's all truth, and the truth sets you free.
I hope you enjoyed the healing. Some of you may have already done Quanta Freedom Healings, or this may have been your first time. I'd really love you to post some comments. How did you find the healing? Did you feel a difference after the healing? This healing covered a very big limiting belief that almost all people suffer from, especially people who have experienced narcissistic abuse. Please know that there are a myriad of specific hooks that get stored in our inner identity when we've suffered narcissistic abuse. If you want to take your healing further, I do have a program that's designed specifically to address the limiting beliefs and the destructive patterns that surfaced for us as a result of being narcissistically abused. To learn more about this program, you can click the link in the description below this video. I really hoped you enjoyed this video series and that you got benefit from it. Please know I'll be making many more videos in the future. You can be notified about my new videos straight away by subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching, and I will see you very soon. Much love.